Dirty little crevice agate. Little clues or little veins of blues coming up through it. Hasn't quite got all of its host rock washed off yet. So this one's still in the stages. It's got a lot of its host that it was trapped in, where it filled in the little cracks and veins inside of a stone, formed its little mini agates, and then the stone is wearing away. I think we'll actually leave this here. Another 50 years, should be cleaned up perfect. Ooh, look at the granitization of this. The big crystals that happened. So this was some sort of volcanic extrusive rock that slowly cooled down, so its crystals got bigger. The more time it has to cool down generally, the larger the crystals will develop. If it cools down quick, they tend to be smaller. That makes this big piece of red. That's actually what brought me over here. Big veiny piece of red jasper. It's quartz running all through it. Spray that off too. Just to look at it. Nice bricky red. There's a chunk. Couple of chunks. Got a couple sitting right here next to each other. This beautiful piece of bonite. Oh, you can see the sugar crystals in it. That's nothing but a pure crystalline semi-translucent chunk of dark green serpentine that we know as bonite. You can see the lips of translucence here. The overall compact micro grainy crystals. We'll still call them microcrystals. Even though it's not microcrystalline quartz, it's still crystals too small to see, composing the whole thing. Very heavy. And then a chunk of this wonderscape stone. This is compacted ash, bedded tuff, that has iron staining to the whole thing, which has given them nice landscape to air contrast. Like a picture jasper. Or a wonderstone of the southwest. We'll take it. Chunk of jasper. Let's go ahead and wet it. I don't know if I'm bringing it. It's got some green. This side's pretty impressive though. Ooh. Look at that. That patterning down in there. Thumb per size reference. And the pixelation of that. Pinks, blacks, yellows. Golds. How big of a section is that? Ooh. Man, that funfetti's all through there. Ooh, that's ridiculous. Again, small patterning. I like small patterns in Jasper because then you can fit more and more and more stuff into it in one little area. Well, walking crazy zigzags over a big area. I don't know if I should bring you or leave you. Let's look at this piece of red here. Nice little hematite rich piece of jasper. It's got kind of a bluish silver sheen to the whole thing. Lets you know the hematite is in there. A look around. I always like to look around. Give you guys a look around. We're kind of in this zone. When I first got here a few years ago, exploring the section, there was these huge swales. I don't know what originally caused it, but they went all the way down, and little willows growing in each one. Now they've formed a wall, And then that themselves will change everything, because the next time the water comes through, it'll have that as an obstruction, which will shape the flow and the meandering of the water and carve out spots that it hadn't before. And then maybe these will fill in. So that's how the river changes, and come back 5 years later and things are totally different than how you remember. This crazy other agate mix that we get out here. Some sort of pseudomorph is what I was told. Very crazy patterns in these. It's like all the patterns that you could get with agate, but milky, which makes me think that it started as some sort of crevice agate, and then they fill in with probably calcium calcites. We have both melting around here, but it will have all of the crazy patterns of agate, the billows and the fortifications, and I'll show you here what I'm talking about. See all that? It's beautiful stuff, but milky, but just patterned like crazy. And it's got another thing that backs up the calcite theory for me, is that it's got lots of little bladed crystals to it sometimes, and that's one of the things that the calcite group does, is form those bladed crystals. But yeah, weird stuff. Very pretty, very hard. This is top of the 7s on the Mohs scale. Worth is subjective. When we look at it, no matter what you're talking about, whether it's paper money, diamonds, gold, the value of something is subjective. I find the trick to rockhounding or nature exploring or appreciating anything is to be able to get into the frame of thought where you're looking for the beauty. If you can convince yourself that something is beautiful, then you can convince anybody that something is beautiful, that it has worth. And probably every single thing does. But that's why value and worth are subjective. It's perception, and sometimes mass perception. Sometimes the value is in that other people find it valuable. Rockhounding and nature exploring and appreciating these things, sometimes you have to just find the value in it for yourself, but there's a lesson there somehow, because that's worth. That's convincing yourself it has worth, and then if you show others and you've shown them that it has worth, but yet it's still all subjective. It's a little thought I'm having on this fine morning. I thought I'd share it with you. Beautiful little nugget of serpentine here. Light color to the whole thing, but be semi-translucent, and it's nice and crystalline and compact and solid. Little nugget of goodness. We're on top of the next little swale here, and I'm kind of going through the stones on it, amazingly enough. Found this one with some cool patterns going on. Just a kind of a gritty sandstone, but ooh, weird. Has some things going on with it for sure. Crazy little botryoidal growths inside there. And the structure of the whole thing, pretty far out. And then another dirty crevice agate, long from being able to be a pretty thing, but on its way. What are you? Some super glossy serpentine mix. Does not look translucent, but it does look crystalline. And then this big chunk of Jasper. Are you better in the sun? Maybe you are. So, light colors, but yellows, greens, pinks, all swirled together. A solid green, that mossy green gold mix that we get out here is what was on that particular little rise. Still probably only about 9:30 in the morning. Chunks of red. Now there's a weird thing. I thought it was a huge gob of botryoidal chalcedony. It's got weird patterning. That pattern all over it. It's extremely light. Is that a fossil of some sort? Dinosaur egg? It's a weird pattern. It's just on the outside of that. The feel of this is like a piece of chalk. You hear that sound? Just does not look like the other stuff around here. It's coming home with us. I'm gonna call that it's probably a dinosaur egg. Honestly, that got fossilized and left here. Probably Brontosaurus or something. No, I have no idea, but it's... There you go. Stumped on that one. Stumped on that one. If you know, let me know. What is that? What is that? Where are you? Weird. Weird. That is a knob of quartz crystals, a crevice agate basically. So this thing grew inside of a cavity, and it would have been covered in fine druse, which has now been beaten off by the river. But the back of it was on some perfectly square little chunk of an alien ship, because obviously this is the crystalline form of silicate that adheres to the wings of the alien spacecraft when they come in and out of our atmosphere. No, but probably the block structure of sedimentary rock which this forms in broke really square somehow, and that grew on the edge and corner of a piece inside of a cavity, some square sandstone rock, and then that was like a bubbly mass growing like a little ball stalagmite creature of quartz crystals inside of a cavity. And that cavity, all the rocks broke apart and the cavity fell apart, and the soft stone all eroded off of here by being tumbled down the river, and all the little crystals got rounded off. That's what you are. So it's a little chalcedony creature. You can kind of see the, there's a little chunk of the blue sticking through. Bubbling at us like a crab mouth. Bizarre. Oh, so that means that that's hollow, because the water that I poured in there just bubbled down into some hollow spot in there. You want to see the agateness of it? There's your official agate banding. So generally the inside of these caverns, spaces, voids, fills with fine layers of chalcedony forming the agate, and then for some reason around here they tend to start growing crystals off the top of that, which is what happened there on the edge of the wing on the way into atmosphere. Ooh, fine gravels up here. Cobble is good, you find bigger pieces. In the fine gravel patches, there's more stones altogether because they're littler, so there's more of them. So I feel like you have more chance of spotting little specimens in there. And this I saw has that crevice agate shape, but I picked it up and I'm like, wow, that's got red mineralization going on with it. And I flipped it over and it's got some beautiful little botryoidal cavity development there with lots of little druzy sparkles all over it. So this is a beautiful little specimen if you ask me. A micro specimen. And it could be a specimen of cinnabar because we are surrounded by about 35 mines, some of them with 20 miles of underground tunnel, like the Oak Hill mine that has reportedly many miles of tunnel that they carved in, all for mercury. This was one of the main mercury production zones out here. So cinnabar is the form that it came in. It doesn't have that completely bright, sickly pink of cinnabar, still has the red to it, so I wouldn't be a bit surprised. But yeah, there's an interesting little crevice creature. The things that fill the cracks in mountains. Two little micro specimens here, as soon as I can find the first one again. There it is. A little thin crevice agate. Now it looks like all of these in this stretch are occurring in a zone where they got stained a little bit pink. But yeah, there he is. Impressive. And then another little gob of super compact crystalline serpentine. There's the colors on that one. Just a little pebble, but we'll take it. Those polish up beautiful. You can carve them. And these are on the high end of the 6, which is really high for serpentine. About 10 minutes in between each one of these, but they're here. It's a nice, super pure little piece of chalcedony. Crevice agate, just almost completely pure. This is the base mineral that can come in so many different colors and forms, but this one, it's just clear like this. I don't even see any bandings. There's probably ghost bandings, but that is just basically chalcedony. So when you see it written up as chalcedony, that's it, just in its solid singular form. Let's put some water on this and see if it's a crevice agate. I still don't see its little ghost layers. Just somehow filled in quick. One single just layer of goodness. You, what are you? It's a piece of quartz. I guess. I mean, I can guarantee it's quartz. It's microcrystalline quartz. It's got a weird shape to it. Probably has something to do with the host rock that it was in. The little space that it filled in, and this happened from its form. I'm thinking just like any of the other crevice agates. So, filled in a crack in the rock. There's something very agate-y about this one though, even though it's milky. So that's one of my theories anyways on these pseudomorphs, is that perhaps they were silicate based agate things happening, and then the water somehow quit percolating through silicate-rich stuff and went through calcium-rich stuff and switched it over into the forms that they are now, which is like milky calcified agates. Does that make sense? Any thoughts would be so appreciated. I kind of wiggle between the willows and bushes here. We found our next little crevicey creature. Ooh, he's actually a little nodule of blue. See it peeking through there, so most of the host rock is gone. Let me wet it for you. There you can see the blue inside of it showing through. So agate details. And it's pretty, you know, it's still got a lot of the dirt probably stuck in the crevices on the inside. And then this little piece of bonite to go in the bag also. Serpentine. See a big chunk of rock with crevice creatures sticking out. Ooh. It's one of the layers. Each of these would probably be like that. There's different layers to it. But this one had space inside of the cavity to grow into kind of a, it's a druzy all over the top of it. You can see it sparkling away there. Of course, it's been all kind of sanded down by the river. It's got that kind of bubbly shape to it. Started stalagmiting. Ooh, and there's some prettiness. You can see through it enough to see the host rock and little bits of the host rock that it trapped inside itself while it grew. That's pretty. Might as well bring that home. Set that like that either in the rock garden or by a plant somewhere on one of the many billions of walls that I have built. I realized I should have been filming everything that I've been doing off camera. I've been staying busy to help my brain, hauling home massive amounts of rock, bringing home resources from different places, and just building crazy walls. Like I always have on my property. I have a steep slope. I've put the videos in the Dirt Journal series here on the channel, and anyhow, what am I talking about? I'm babbling again. But yeah, so I've been incorporating a lot of the rocks that I've been finding in those rock walls that I'm building, and building terraces and extending my pathways down the hill, all that kind of stuff. And in that I am putting all of the different pretty rocks that I'm finding. So someday people will wander through and go, wow, this dude must have collected rocks. Maybe he was a rockhound. There's another little crevicey creature right next to it in here. Just that little vein. Show us the sparkles. There you go. Good massive quartz there. That's what you call the big white stuff. When it's just plain quartz. It's massive quartz. That one's got some clarity to it. Got lots of that in California, but we'll bring it with us. It's another one I put in the rock walls around my garden, and that way I can have my quartz electrical field spread out properly around me. That stuff's running your computers. Look at this piece of green. The patterns in there. It's that same semi-translucent, just goodness, solid little bar of it there. River treasure. A Kershaw, Speed Safe, USA. There you go. Nice little knife. We'll take it. Crazy stuff out here by these volcanoes. I don't know what that is. It's flaky. It's yellow. It's not a licking rock.